Um, if everybody could go on mute, with the exception of Michael. Um, First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming together today on this very important topic, which is the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix. If we could, if I can go on mute, everybody go on mute if you could, except for Michael. That way, that'd be great. Thanks. This is the most important topic, and I've got Tom Evans with me, who is my counterpart, along with Constance, that makes up the Rivertown group. And what we try to do is bring topics that are important. But more importantly, we want to bring the movers and shakers that are making those topics important. And so Michael was nice enough to call me to let me know that he was presenting to the city council the idea of moving the Grand Prix to downtown Detroit in 2023. I was thrilled. I thought that was awesome. And Michael, thank you for giving me the heads up on that. So the next thing, well, I'm getting some feedback here. If I can go, whoever is not on mute here, you could mute, that would be great. Thank you. What I wanted to do, oh, we're still getting something here. Okay.
Michael's on here. We got two Michaels. The other one is not on mute.
Okay, if everybody could go on mute, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. So I talked to Michael and I said, you know, this is awesome. I think it's great. The Grand Prix is here, and Michael is the general manager. He works for Penske Corporation, but I call him the Grand Prix guy. He is the guy that I met first, that it was involved with the Grand Prix. I personally enjoy the Grand Prix. I enjoy going to the event. It is just a fun event around Detroit. So I asked him to come today to not only talk about what his thinking is and what he presented, but also to answer your questions. That's the other part of this. It's so important for you to be able to talk to him, ask questions, and get answers firsthand from the person who is actually moving and shaking the city of Detroit. So with that, Michael, I am more than happy and excited to say you have the driver's license and you have the roll going, sir, and you are on.
All right. Well, thanks, Chip. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to get in front of the Rivertown Association, Chip, and all the members here and talk about the Grand Prix and really, as you said, answer questions and get feedback. You know, the area, the Rivertown area, is right outside Belle Isle, and it's always good to understand and know what everyone's thoughts are and how we can make the event better. So as Chip said, you know, I reached out to him a little bit ago and gave him, you know, the information that we were considering bringing the race off of Belle Isle and back to the streets of Detroit. And I'm going to share my screen here and just take you through some slides.
Okay.
If I can figure out where it is. There it is. Can everybody see that?
Oh, great. I can see it. Can everybody else see it? If you nod your heads, yes, I hope so. Okay, good.
There, is that better?
That's, I think if you go big screen, maybe if everybody can see that, let's see.
Is it too big? Is that better?
That's actually it's better, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. I guess I am well, I don't know what you can see, but anyway. All right. So as I was saying, you know, reached out to Chip and let him know we were considering bringing the event downtown, and it was really predicated on a couple of different things. First of all, you know, we have an agreement with Belle Isle in place, as I think everybody knows, that runs through 2022, and then there's a 2-year option, 23 and 24. So we have the option to stay on Belle Isle, but as we looked at some of the possibilities of bringing the race back downtown, and what that might mean for the city, the citizens, the businesses, and the racing. It was pretty clear that we think we can make the event better by bringing it downtown. There was a race this year on the IndyCar circuit in Nashville, and it was the first downtown race in Nashville, and it's through the streets of Nashville. And it was, and Bud and I were there. Bud Denker, my boss, and I were there, and it was really impressive to see how the city embraced the event and how the event embraced the city, and the positive impact that it had on the city and the citizens and the businesses. And we know Detroit is not Nashville. It's a different city. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just it's not Nashville. It's a different city. But we really kind of looked at each other and said, man, if we could move our event downtown, think of the positive impact we could have. And we started talking about it, and I don't know if you can see that on my screen there, but the first thing you say when you say, hey, we're thinking about bringing it back downtown, everybody says, oh, I remember when it was downtown. I remember, and all the memories come flooding back. So this picture here is from 1991. It was the last year that the Grand Prix ran in downtown Detroit before moving to Belle Isle. And I think this kind of sums up, everything about it. You have the cars right in front of the Renaissance Center. You have a huge crowd in the grandstands. And it just brings back all of those good memories from when people grew up and used to go downtown for the race. And the next slide here is a rendering of kind of what if we brought it back downtown. And starting from the upper left-hand side there on Jefferson, right in front of the Fist, eastbound Jefferson, it's right before a right-hander down Bates. We're going to plan to move our overpass bridge there, temporary bridge that we use on Belle Isle to downtown, and it's actually the perfect length to span between Hart Plaza and Spirit Plaza, and that providing that access from downtown to Hart Plaza is an important part of the event, and we're excited to do that. Next one over on westbound Jefferson is another shot from Hart Plaza, kind of looking back toward City Hall building there. You can see the same bridge in the background there, just to give you some perspective. And that's obviously looking eastbound as the cars come westbound. In the lower left is the street near the Port Authority there, coming up right after the Port Authority. It's a left-hand turn to get back on Atwater, right in front of the Renaissance Center. And then the last image there on the right, bottom right, is the shot of Atwater Street looking back toward the RenCen. So just some kind of views of what cars could look like on the streets of Detroit to kind of get the imagination flowing a little bit. So this is what we're proposing the circuit look like. And couple things about this. Obviously, the red is the track. The bottom red, right under the A in draft, is the Renaissance Center. And right below that is Atwater Street. And obviously, you run on in race direction there where the arrows are pointing. I don't know if you can see the arrows, but you run eastbound on Atwater to Rivard, then north on Rivard to Jefferson, and then Jefferson all the way down to right in front of the TCF Center, where you do a U-turn. You can see the bridge between Spirit and Hart Plaza here. And then you go back down Bates to the Port Authority and then back around on Atwater. This is the pit lane here. It's in the parking lot. That's the General Motors parking lot right now. And then all the race transporters work on their cars in all these areas here. Okay. But a couple things about this, like why did we pick this? Number one, we wanted to make sure that that we were less intrusive to the businesses of downtown than the Grand Prix was back in between 82 and 91. And if you remember back in 82 and 91, that Grand Prix track ran up here, ran up to Congress, ran down to Larned, and then back down Woodward here, back to Jefferson. And it really took out quite a few blocks of the downtown business district. And we really wanted to be additive to the business district and not subtract anything. We wanted to bring people downtown so that they frequent the retail shops and the hotels and the bars and the restaurants. So that's number one. That's kind of the reason. So we wanted to keep everything south of Jefferson because most things south of Jefferson here are not residential. So that was the first thing. Second thing is we wanted to make sure that we had enough traffic flow to not prohibit anyone from getting to most places that they wanted to go. So anything in green on this, any road you see highlighted in green will be open during the race, the whole race weekend. We will never close any of these green lanes here. So if you want to get to the Tunnel of Windsor, you come down 375 underneath the racetrack, right up Jefferson. Jefferson is very wide in this area here, and it's wide enough that we can have a racetrack and a live lane of traffic right next to it. So you can get into Bobby in here, you can get into the tunnel here, you can even get down into the parking structure here underneath Jefferson Avenue. And then when you come out, same way, just turn right and go down 375 back up into wherever you were going. You can get to Beaubien, you can get to the church over here. I think I saw someone from the church on, all, access to all of this. In addition, these lanes here, the westbound Jefferson here and here and here will not be closed until the race weekend. So we'll keep those open and they'll only be closed during race weekend. So we're trying to minimize the negative impact that any of this course has on the traffic. So we'll close it down late and we'll open it back up early, right Sunday night after the race is over. But anything up here, anything in green, anything down in here is accessible. Anything up here in green is accessible. And most of these businesses have access from the Larned side of their businesses. So that was the kind of the reason and the thought that went into this. We might have to play with kind of some of our schedule based on services at the churches that are on Jefferson here and here. But at any rate, we're trying to minimize any negative impact we have here. This, as I mentioned, was the old Grand Prix track in orange. You can see I already outlined this, but you can see it went north here on Congress, down to Larned, down to Woodward, back over to Jefferson. It was a much longer course. There were a lot more turns. It was a very narrow course, not much passing if you're a race enthusiast. But more importantly, it really had a traffic impact and a business impact up into the business district. The business district that I've mentioned a couple different times, we did a walking map. I don't know if this is big enough for you to see, but this down here is the race circuit, and this right here is the Renaissance Center. And then we did circumferences of walking distance from the Renaissance Center, which is kind of the middle of our venue. And the bottom line is at 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk, and 20-minute walk, these arcs here, within a 20-minute walk of the venue area, there are 260 retail businesses. And again, what we want this to be is we want people to come to downtown. We want them to stay in the downtown. We want them to eat dinner downtown. If they're coming from out of town, get a hotel in downtown and really have a positive impact. We have a really good impact on Belle Isle, but we really want to grow it here because we think that coming to Belle Isle, instead of parking in a parking lot and getting on a bus and going to Belle Isle, and then getting on a bus and going off Belle Isle, and then getting in your car and going home, you might walk to the course. You might park at Ford Field, or you might park at Little Caesars Arena and get on the queue line and come downtown. You might get on the People Mover and get off at the Renaissance Center to get to the course. Point is it creates a whole lot more walkable traffic and hopefully a whole lot more positive impact on the businesses than what we can currently influence, even though we do, I think, a pretty good job influencing. We're looking to broaden that impact. And then this slide here is an interesting one. The other thing I think I mentioned from the outset is what we can do for the community by bringing this downtown. We want this to be a festival. We want it to be accessible, and we want it to be inclusive. And over 50% of our race course is going to be viewable free of charge throughout the entire weekend. So this view here is from Hart Plaza. It's looking back toward, to the north, obviously, back toward downtown. But this is an example of a viewing platform that we're going to build, and it'll be accessible via the bridge that you see there in the background from the Spirit Plaza to Hart Plaza. And anybody can come in here in this area and see what there is to see. We'll do our Meyer fan zone in there, various displays. For those of you who've been at our event on Belle Isle, you know what the Meyer fan zone is and all the displays we put on in the Meyer fan zone area. Most of that will be accessible here in this area, free of charge. And we want to make it a real community event. We want to get as many people down to enjoy it and expose them to the event as possible, and just have a real positive influence on everything that's going on. There will be some paid areas, right, as you can imagine. Down in where the pit lanes are, we'll have some grandstands down there. We'll have some corporate suites that are paid. We'll have some grandstands in certain areas that you have to have a ticket to get into. But really, I'm really excited to really have this be more of a festival and let people come in and wander around and enjoy it, the most of it free of charge. So it's a really important slide for us, and one of the reasons I think that it's really impactful, this move. And then, we've done some community engagement. I meant to mention at the outset here, I do have two of my team members on the phone. Rena Shanneman is on the line. She's our event director, and she handles all of our volunteers along with a number of other things. And then Meryl Kane is on the phone as well, who is our director of public relations. And if it's okay, I'd like to have Meryl kind of comment on some of our community engagement, what we've done kind of in the past, and what we're kind of doing in the lead up here as we propose this. Meryl, I don't know if I'm the host, if I have to unmute you.
I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me okay?
You are unmuted. Yep, you are. Go ahead. Yep.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, and Chip and everyone, thanks for giving us a chance to present here this evening. Look forward to working with the residents and really the community as we go through the process here. And as Michael talked about, we really want this event to have a different and a heightened community feel and engagement behind it. And I think Michael's touched on some really key points of how we can grow that moving forward. I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight, before we talk about moving forward, about some of the things that we've done in the past. And I think our event, without trying to pat ourselves on the back too much here, we've done a pretty good job, I think, engaging with the community and really trying to make people involved in the event and aware of the event, and give them an opportunity to see what the Grand Prix can mean to Detroit and to Belle Isle specifically. A few of the things that we've done in the past, there's a couple of things that we've done that really kind of tie back to the history of when the Grand Prix was downtown in 82, from 82 to 91. A couple of things are that we had from the very beginning something called Free Pre-Day. If you've been to the event in the last few years, you're familiar with it in the name Comerica Bank Free Pre-Day. They've been the sponsor behind it, where really we open up the doors for anyone and everyone to come in and experience the Grand Prix on Friday all day long. They can go to the pits, they can go to the paddock, they can walk around the venue, they'll see the racetrack action, they can experience the fan zone, all of those things for free. That is something, we started back in 82. We felt it was very important to continue that tradition, to really welcome in the community. And it's pretty unique in racing. I believe we're the only race that really does that still, keeping our doors open for free of charge for everyone on Friday. We really want to try and build on that. As Michael said, 50% of the venue here, if we can move this back downtown and build this the way that we want to here, really make this open and available for people half the course. And a lot of the fan parts of the course, the key activities, will be available for free. So it really is like a free festival. It's like a free pre-weekend as opposed to just a free pre-Friday. We'll continue the free Friday for the whole circuit for sure. but really most of the course, half of the course, will be available for everyone to attend for free. One of the other cool things that we've done in kind of engaging the community is it's always been kind of a badge of honor, a badge of pride to create the official Detroit Grand Prix poster. Posters since the very beginning in 1982 have become kind of a collector's item, a piece of art that is carried on through the event from when it was downtown in Formula One, international racing circuit, to when it became IndyCar, moved to Belle Isle, a lot of different scenes and incorporating the city, the island. We started working about a decade ago. Instead of hiring an artist or putting this out for an advertising agency as they did back in the day when it was in downtown, we started working with the students for the College for Creative Studies and try to figure out ways where we can get students really involved in this, capitalize on the creativity, the energy that we have within a building art community in Detroit, and allow the students to have a competition to create the official poster. So we've worked with the students from CCS, again, for the last 10 years. It'll be the 10th year coming up in 2022, where they've created the official poster. So another way to involve the community, get kids to be able to perceive the event and show how they perceive the event to our fans. And we've been very proud of that. There are a couple other things that we really are excited about doing and what we've done and we'd like to try and build on. We've been very active taking drivers into the local community, taking race cars into the local community, being able to showcase what these cars, what these amazing pieces of technology can do, and how, you know, the STEM education of science and technology, engineering, math, really open kids' eyes to, you know, all that racing can bring to bear. And, you know, again, it's the Motor City, right? We have some great engineers, we have some great technicians, we have car people in our area. And I think it's incumbent of us as the Motor City and our race to kind of keep that going and build that interest. And we've been very proud to do that and go into, you know, local communities, local schools, whether it's Cody High School, Cass Tech, Detroit International Academy, engage not only the cars and the teams, but the drivers themselves with the students. So we look forward to building on that. And one of the most recent things that we've done in terms of growing in the community and making sure that they have access to the race is something called NXG. It stands for Next Generation Racers, which is building off of a program that started actually in Indianapolis and has run in Indianapolis for the last 15 years. It is a community-based driving skills platform where they take students, young students, and teach them about racing, about how to drive, the proper driving technique, but also life skills, how you handle conflict when you're driving on a race course, how you handle the different challenges you might face in terms of technology, and opening their eyes to that. And it's combined with a classroom element, and then getting on an actual go-kart circuit and using high-powered go-karts to kind of train kids and how to race and how to handle themselves. The first market that this very successful platform expanded to was Detroit last year, for the very first time this year, actually, 2021. So we hosted NXG on Belle Isle the week before our race this year. 20 students from the Detroit area got a chance with their families to come out, take about 3 hours of classroom work on Saturday, 3 hours of classroom work on Sunday, followed up by several hours of on-track activity on what was our race paddock on Belle Isle and on a specially designed race course. And to see the kids' eyes just kind of light up when they get a chance to experience something they've never done before. A lot of these kids never even knew what a go-kart was before, right? And they get a chance to really get some education about it and open their eyes and have a really cool experience with it. So we hosted the one event pilot program in the spring, right before the Grand Prix, as we mentioned. And then just a few weeks ago, the fall session for another 20 kids and their families, we actually created a course and used the inside of the TCF Center for the classroom. They were on the very top parking deck of the TCF Center. So it gave a really cool perspective of the city and the city of Windsor as well, and hosted another group of students there. And I think we've seen a lot of interest from the community for anyone who wants to join up and become part of the program. They've already got a waiting list for next year, and their idea is they're really going to grow this and turn this into a multi-year program where they're going to be in Detroit. They're going to grow in Detroit. Instead of 2 events next year, they want to host 4 or 6 events. And they have enough interest now. And I think they're very close to reaching an agreement with Detroit Cass Tech to host this annually at Cass Tech, again, 4 or 6 times next year. And have the kids that maybe participated in the pilot programs this year grow and get some next level of development, and then also bring in a whole new group of pilot program kids who are just being introduced to it for the first time. So it's really a way to introduce racing and grow it. And I think with a move downtown, the opportunities are endless. We can take programs like this, build it to the inner city, bring it to using the local businesses, the local communities, the schools, and really capitalize it and grow even more. The next level of that community engagement is the slide you see here, is really being able to meet with the members of the community, meet like we're doing today. And the first, really step for us in this process of trying to bring the event back downtown is hosting listening sessions, hearing from everyone in the community about what do you like about this? What do you see as the opportunities here? What concerns might you have? What can we do to try to ease those concerns? And as we were putting this process together, making sure that everyone's comfortable with the direction this is going, and really see this for what it can be, a great event, a great opportunity to grow in Detroit and help us get through, what's been some challenges over the last couple of years from coming out of the pandemic, and really embrace a big event downtown, maybe turn into the biggest event we've had downtown since the Super Bowl. So we want to try and do that, meet with people and residents, meet with businesses, get into the neighborhoods, really have some of those meetings up front and understand what we need to learn and how we need to form this up going forward. And then the next part of that is really, if we're able to get city council to approve this or ask us for more input, have that communication and that consistent communication going forward with all the people in the community, all the constituents, the residents, the businesses, the neighborhoods, everyone within the community, and make sure we have a really consistent and open and honest communication plan going forward. We have Letty Azar, who was working with the mayor's neighborhood team in the past, joined us about a month ago and has really kind of helped us through this process. She knows some great context of getting on board. And we've hosted about, Michael, I think 10 or 12 meetings just like this, whether virtual or in person, where we've been able to connect with members of the community, understand their input and hear from them. And it's been really beneficial to us. I think it's really been educational for us and helped us know how everyone feels about the Grand Prix and this next phase of how we grow this event. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the next process of communicating what our plan is going to be moving forward. And we're looking forward to hearing from everyone here tonight to give us our feedback. So Michael, with that, I guess I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Merrill. I think you just kind of summed it up well. As he said at the end there, we're working through a process here, and I guess I can unshare my screen now. There we go. So yeah, we're working through the process now, and we've tried to get out and contact as many people as we could. If you haven't been contacted yet and wanted to be, and I apologize, it's certainly not by design that we haven't had a chance to connect, but we're hoping that as many of these as we can, go to and get in front of and talk with and at and listen, that we can continue the process here. So Chip, I'll turn it back over to you. Okay.
Michael, thank you. That I am excited, and especially about this program, the NXG program. That is awesome. I got to tell you. But let me open it up to the group as to questions that they would have for you. So let me ask the group right now if you'd like to just unmic yourself and ask Michael Montri or Merrill, whoever, a question about this, and then we'll go from there.
I had a couple questions. Any idea how many races there are going to be that weekend?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We don't anticipate really any change as far as the number of racing series that we have downtown versus what we do on Belle Isle. So it would be the IndyCar series, it would be the IMSA Sports Car Series, and it would be one support series, which in 2022, it will be the Indy Lights, and we would anticipate those three series being back in 2023.
Oh, that's great.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I live on Jefferson and Joseph Campo. I hear the Grand Prix from my window. already. And so this noise is probably going to be a little bit more exciting. So noise, I mean, it's already noisy with the concert at Aretha Franklin. It's already noisy with people riding up and down Jefferson in their motorcycles. It's already noisy. It's already noisy. Do I need to say it again? It's already noisy. So what's more noise?
Yeah, no, look, yeah, no, and that we hear you for sure. Couple things that we're trying to do to mitigate some of the interruption. We plan on doing most of the construction overnight, and we're hoping that is minimizes any impact we'll have with traffic and/or noise. So we would, start at 8 p.m. and go all night and end at 5 a.m. So during the build, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Obviously, during race weekend, there will be cars on track, and I don't know if I have a great solution for you other than to say that we are limiting the times that we will have cars on track. So we won't go any later than 6 p.m. Like we do typically on Belle Isle. And we typically don't start with cars on track before 8 a.m. I don't have a great answer for you on the noise. The race cars are noisy.
One thing I can tell you from experience, I owned a business right down the street from you on Joseph Campo for 30 years. And the Formula One cars were actually louder than these Indy Series cars. I heard the racing on Belle Isle more than I ever heard the Formula One from downtown. I don't know if it's because the buildings are in the way and they shield it, but you're going to contend with a lot more noise from traffic and motorcycles on Jefferson, I think, than you will from this Grand Prix. I didn't find it objectionable at all.
Got it.
Thanks, Tom. Other questions from the group? We have the experts here. Go ahead.
I have a question. So I'm a priest at Christ Church at Jefferson and 375. And we have heard from Letty, so I really appreciate all the various levels of community engagement that you're doing. So, and thanks for taking access to those buildings that you pointed out into account. It's really helpful. I guess my question is the recent race in Nashville. What data is out there about the effects of racing on historic buildings? Christ Church has two very old buildings, and I'm just curious what data is out there on that.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I could certainly see if we could find something. I'm not familiar with anything offhand that's out there. I will say that the weight of these cars is much less than what you see in a normal road car. In even the biggest Indy car that we run is only about 1,500 pounds, and a regular road car is about 3,000 pounds or more if you have a big truck. I think the number of cars that are on the track at any one time in any of these series is probably a lot lower than it is during rush hour. We only have in the IndyCar series about 20 to 25 cars on the track at one time. So with the reduced weight and with the lower number, maybe that offsets the speed. And there is a certain downforce component there as well. So that's a great. I've never thought of that question. That's a good one. Meryl, can you maybe make a note of that? Let's see if we can find something out there.
Yeah, it is an interesting question. We can see what kind of research and data there is available for that. But yeah, as Michael said, I mean, I think they're all about being light and being aerodynamic and to make the most of that speed. And I would I would hazard a guess that, yeah, the impact as opposed to a normal rush hour traffic day with all the trucks that we have going up and down Jefferson is probably pretty minimal in terms of any kind of effect, but it certainly bears checking out. We'll look into that.
Cool, thanks.
Great question. Thank you. Other questions?
Yes.
I have a question. I'm also from Christchurch, Detroit. And that is, what do you know about the potential future impact of the I-375 changes?
I've heard that it may not be there for too far into the future, but as far as what that's going to look like,
Well, it wouldn't affect 2023, I don't think. But the question is, beyond that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that.
Good question.
Hello? Yes, this is Billy Graves. And I have a question. When you mentioned, I live right out Atwater. When you mentioned that it would be coming down Atwater, and I'm old enough to remember when the races were down here, what portion of Atwater coming off of Renaissance, is it going to go down that far? Is it going to come down to the outdoor nature center or
No,
park or?
it goes, sorry, somebody is in the waiting room here. I just admitted them.
Okay, thanks.
It will only be on Atwater starting, well, it starts at Bates, which is, on the others where the Port Authority is.
Yeah.
And then it curves up Atwater, and then it's on Atwater from the start of the Renaissance Center there until Rivard, and we go north on Rivard.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so anything east of Rivard will be far outside.
Okay, I'm just one block. And when all of these, we are residential housing now, and we weren't there, we've only been there for 5 years. And all of these projects, no one's mentioned it in our office, so I don't know if you've approached, because there's always congestion down here. So I don't know how you're gonna.
Are you in Orleans Landing?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have spoken with Orleans.
Okay.
Letty has. I don't know offhand the name of the person, but I believe it was the property manager for Orleans.
Maybe Mr. Card or Andre. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so I would say certainly if you have any questions that
I'll go and
you can route them through your property manager or reach out directly to me or Meryl or Letty. Chip, well, I can put my email or something in the chat box or
Sure, or just
that'd be great.
Yeah,
because we've had a couple of new managers, so if the latest one has only been there like a couple of months, with the changes and with the pandemic and everything like that. So, because usually they try to put stuff on the website, on the Orleans Landing website, and I kind of watch it, but I really hadn't seen anything about this.
Okay. Yeah, Meryl.
But it's a great idea. We have businesses here, and a couple more will be open by then. So it would be great if they could benefit from that too.
Oh, that's great. No, in fact, I think the property manager said that there are some units available there too. For somebody that was coming to the race or something.
Yes.
Meryl, would you mind putting your contact info in the chat for anybody that wants to reach out? I think
that's great.
Typing it in right now. Yep.
Perfect.
Jim Semrad has a good question. He put it in there about what do the racers think about this? Are they in favor of this? And just as a follow-up to that question, I would take it with a shorter route, we'll see the cars more often if you're sitting in the stands. Is that right?
No, you're absolutely right. This might sound odd, but we usually project our race lengths based on TV windows. So you shoot for a certain amount of time on the track, and then you take the distance of the track and the speed into account to figure out how many laps you go. So on Belle Isle, we run anywhere from 70 to 75, depending on the year. And we'll do more than that on this downtown track, just because it is a shorter route and, you have a window to fill there. So.
And what are have you approached the drivers with this, and what is their feeling?
Yeah, so we've talked to IndyCar about it. They've had their consultant out. We have the drivers that we've talked to are mostly Team Penske drivers, and they're excited about it. I think, that long run down Jefferson is a nice wide lane. It's, again, it's so wide that we can leave 2 lanes open on the other side for traffic, right? So it's wide, it's going to be fast. And that hairpin turn at the end is a very large turn. So there's a lot of room to pass. And I think that's one of the downsides, I think, of the previous Grand Prix track downtown. There were so many turns and it was so narrow and so bumpy that you really couldn't pass. And I don't think that's going to be the case with most of this circuit. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting track.
That's awesome. That's great. More questions. How about anybody else? I do have one question. I know if Michelle Hodges were on here, who is the president of the Conservancy in Belle Isle, her question would be, how is this going to impact funding for Belle Isle? And then would there be a similar fund set up maybe for Detroit or whatever, maybe Rivertown? Sorry.
No, so that's a great question, and we've got that question asked quite a bit. So, in case anyone on the phone isn't aware, on the Zoom here isn't aware, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So we don't do this for profit. We don't do it to make money. We do it for the good of the city and the good of Belle Isle. And in our mission statement, as a 501c3. It says one of our purposes is to revitalize and rejuvenate Belle Isle. And we're not going to change that mission statement just because we're moving downtown, because there's another part of our mission statement that talks about the city, right? So we plan on still supporting Belle Isle. Exactly, Chip, what that looks like, I don't know. But we will continue. We had this conversation with Michelle. We've been, as I think everybody knows, large supporters of Belle Isle in general and the Belle Isle Conservancy, and we intend to continue supporting for sure. But the island, because of all of the partners, all the DNR, the Conservancy, all the stakeholders in Belle Isle, it's in a really good place right now. You got the Odolph Garden that just is about ready to open here, just opened. It's in a good place, but we intend to continue supporting it.
No, I think that is great. On the surface of the street, will they resurface the street for this race, or will this just be normal street racing?
Well, it will be normal street racing. So it's just on Belle Isle, there is, it's a public street when it's not a race course. And that'll be the same downtown. It will be a public street when it's not a race course. We won't be resurfacing it every year. Now, there will be some initial improvements that need to be done. There are some improvements that need to be done anyway. When we walked it with the city, there's a part on Rivard where you can actually look down a hole, and they're gonna fix that. They're gonna have to fix that.
We're not gonna have Roger out there doing the.
Well, my point is they're gonna have to fix the hole in the street,
right? Even
for regular traffic, right? So there will be some initial road improvements that need to be done. But interestingly enough, that the part of that race course, part of it is owned by General Motors. The part that's in front of the Renaissance Center, part of it is owned by the city, like on Rivard. And then part of it in between, 375 and TCF Center on Jefferson is all MDOT property. So it's 3 different stakeholders there that own the roads and would own any maintenance or improvements on them.
Question for you about Nashville, and have they done an economic study on the impact of what that brought to the city?
I know they plan to do one.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if it came back yet or if it did, what the results were. Meryl, do you know offhand?
No, I mean, typically I know from going through it with the ones we've done in Detroit around the Grand Prix in previous years, it takes a few weeks and even a few months to kind of get all those results back. As Michael said, I know they were in the process of gathering that, but I think they still have some due diligence to try and follow up with that. I wouldn't expect they'd probably have the results back of that till later in the fall or maybe even around Christmas time. But that's something we can certainly share once we know the results of that.
Yeah, and I can check. I mean, we work with them often, and I can ask them if they've done it yet and if they have the results. We do, and are in the process actually of doing a preliminary economic forecast of what
Okay.
a move from Belle Isle to downtown might mean as far as, you know, an economic spend or an economic impact as well. So once we have that, we'll certainly share it. What we project will be the impact.
That is great. Let me ask you, what are next steps? I mean, and is there any opportunity for this to be 22 versus 23?
No, great question. I think, is there any, I'll take the second one first. No, just in a quick word, we're going to have our hands full getting ready for 23, to be honest with you. And quite frankly, I think it's kind of fitting, you know, if this actually does pass city council and get through the whole process here, I think it's fitting that if we have one more, you know, event on Belle Isle. And so no, it will be definitely 2023 if it passes and gets approved.
And as Rivertown members, I mean, I know Mary Sheffield is our representative on council. What can we do to help support this? I am in favor of it, and I certainly would be happy to either call Mary or write her a letter. My business is on East Jefferson, right next to the DHOP, the Detroit House of Pancakes there. I'd say, hey, listen, this is great. We should do it. Is there anything else we can do to help you?
Thanks for asking, Chip. It's a great question. You can certainly happy to have you send a letter if you're, you know, if you'd like, into the city, into, you know, your city council member. In this case, if you're a Rivertown resident, it's Mary. We have sat down and we've reached out to every one of the city council members. We've had a chance to sit down with most of them. Mary, we've exchanged some emails, but haven't quite gotten the chance. We've talked to some of her folks, but haven't quite had the chance to get out in front of her yet. But we anticipate hopefully doing that very soon at her convenience. And again, some of the other city council members, we've had a chance to do that. We've been in some Department of Neighborhood meetings. We've been in some community meetings similar to, you know, Rivertown here. We've been in some neighborhood meetings, some, you know, block meetings. We've some business association meetings. We've just been trying to get, you know, in front of as many people as we can to get some input. And here, you know, it's funny. You think you've thought of everything, and you do your best to think of everything, but there's always something that you didn't think of, right? Because there are so many different viewpoints and angles and impacts, and we just want to make sure that the last thing we want to do is, you know, it'd be Thursday of race week 2023, and somebody raise their hand and say, "What about this?" And we didn't foresee it or know about it going in. I mean, we want to know about it as much as we can going in, so we can prepare for it. And that's what we're trying to do.
That is great. So the timeline here with City Council, I know that obviously this session here to give you feedback and questions. I mean, what is their timeline to say, okay, we've heard everything, and to say, yes, this is a great idea, and we vote to proceed? What is that looking at early 22 here, summer of 22? What's the timing?
Yeah, sure. No, we're currently working with the city legal department on drafting an agreement, and we're in the process of doing that. Once we get that done, it will go to subcommittee, whichever subcommittee that city council deems necessary for an event like this. Typically, that's the safety committee because you know, it impacts the public safety, right? So we don't know if that's exactly where this one's going to go, but we suspect that might be where it goes. If it comes out of subcommittee, it will go to city council, and then they will, you know, discuss and then at some point vote. The time frame is up in the air, obviously, but on our side, we do, to your point, Chip, have a lot of work to do in between now and 2023. We have to make some infrastructure purchases in the form of, you know, fencing and barriers. There has to be some road improvements done, like I mentioned before. There's 3 different entities involved: General Motors, the city, the state. So there's a lot of coordination and work to be done. And the sooner we can get this, approved, or know if it's going to be approved or not approved, the more we can start to plan and get our ducks in a row and make sure that we do this the right way in 2023. So, we're moving at the pace that City Council and the city, the mayor's office wants us to move, and that's where we are at this point.
Oh, that's great. Well, we certainly support you, and I do, and it's great to have this forum to be able to express, what the thoughts and comments are by the group. It is our neighborhood. I know one thing you did not mention, and you did tell me, was that there's only going to be one race. It will not be back to back. So to the question on noise, it isn't going to be a Saturday, Sunday. I don't think it's just going to be Sunday.
Well, so just to back up, so there's no confusion, I think, Chip, what we were talking about at the time was 2022.
Okay, gotcha.
So the race in 2022 on Belle Isle, there will be one IndyCar race on Sunday and one IMSA race on Saturday.
Okay.
There will be support races in practice both of those days, and there will be on-track qualifying and practice. So there will be track activity.
Okay.
There will be as many races. Now in 2023, once it moves downtown, we have yet to set any of those schedules.
Okay, got it.
I pretty much know, whether we're on Belle Isle in 23 or whether we're downtown in 23, that we will most likely have those same racing series there.
Okay.
But at this point, I don't know how many races we'll have.
Okay, that's great. How about more questions? Do we have any more questions from the group?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, this is Billy Graves again. Thank you so much for answering the other question and being so honest and open about it. But I just wanted to ask, I know that on Belle Isle, because I've run into several of your crew members or your setup people outside of the island over the years. And I know you have them come from out of state and everything like that, but what are the opportunities for Detroiters in helping you set up now that you're downtown, and whatever your process is going to be downtown? Because you said you could do it in a day, when on Belle Isle, the whole island was disrupted for like 8 months out of the year, especially after the cleanup and stuff. So I'm just wondering, will there be opportunities available for Detroiters to assist and possibly, get some income, do whatever? Yeah,
no, absolutely. Great question. Let me make sure that one thing is clear real quick before I answer that question. If I said that we can do this in a day, that's not what I meant to say.
Okay.
We certainly cannot do this in a day.
You're gonna say, what was this? You guys have really learned, huh?
Yeah, no. This is a large undertaking that will take, it will still take about the same time that it takes us on Belle Isle.
Okay.
But yes, so I just want to be clear on that this, anyway, opportunities. Yes. That is going to be one of the advantages, I think, of having Letty, and she's going to be able to connect with a whole lot more of the community groups and see where we can get. We have a challenge, and the challenge is that a couple things. Number one, the Grand Prix directly doesn't hire a ton of people. We have a very small crew that sets up those barriers and fence. We hire vendors, to do grandstands and to do concessions and things like that, where we might be able to have a little more impact on, a volume number and a local Detroit resident number. The challenge we have that I've kind of tasked Letty with solving is the workers that we need for Grand Prix are very skilled workers that need a certain skill, and it's really a forklift skill. And it's not so much that Detroiters don't have that skill, it's that we only use these workers for a short period of time. So it's really tough to find workers with that skill set that are available for work in mid-April or late April, that know that they're only going to be employed by us through the end of June, right? So it's a very tricky work to fill. So I've tasked Letty with making some community connections where maybe we can put a program in place where we can help develop some skills in some folks and kind of set them up for success in that industry. There's a challenge there, there's a cost there, but I think it's the right thing to do. I don't know. I don't want to, just to be clear, I don't want to say in 2023 we're going to be able to have that program in place, and yeah, they'll all be. I want to be very, very clear on that. But that's what I'd love to have a program like that. And Letty, I know, has had a couple conversations to work toward that, and we'll see what happens. But it is certainly our intent to hire Detroit vendors, Detroit contractors, and Detroit employees.
Thank you so much for that.
Michael, if I could just point out one other thing. Sorry, Chip, to jump in there.
Go ahead, Merle.
Just one point of clarification, I think, from Mrs. Graves' comments there. Just in terms of the total setup time, you mentioned, I think, Michael, that total time we assume is going to be about the same as it was for build up and take down of the circuit as it has been on Belle Isle, and it was the shortest amount of time this year that it's been ever in our process, about 59 days, I think. Correct, Michael?
That's total, including the 3 event days. Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that. I know that there's been some perception that it's a month-long process in Belle Isle, but I know our folks and our team, our build-out team has worked really hard to work around the clock to try and shorten that amount of time. And again, successful in this proposal, it's not going to be any longer. It's going to be the same amount of time.
Great, thanks. Natalie, you got your hand up. I know it's not Natalie, but go ahead.
Right. This is Mark Fortier. I live at Harbor Town, so I'm nearby, and I just had a couple of comments to make. I'm excited to hear this change. I think it'll be a good thing. I think it'll bring a lot more to the city and the restaurants and all the local businesses. I think it's a good thing. I just wanted to put that out there, and I think it's a good change of pace from Belle Isle, and I think it'll work out good.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Other questions or comments? That's what this is all about. We want to hear from you. If you have a comment, a question, the question was great about the impact on some of the history of the buildings here. That was a great one. That's something. And the economic impact, I'm interested. Other questions from the group? From anybody here?
Hi, yes.
Go ahead, Denise.
Hey, have we thought about traffic and how that is going to work? Since they're going to be in front of the Renaissance, I believe you say, or past the Fist, that traffic that comes up off the lodge, trying to get home, or trying to get to the new River Myers, which I think is great. The new A-Hop or D-Hop, that how is traffic going to affect local businesses and parking, because parking is fun. And also one more thing, do we have enough hotels for everyone? I know we had the Super Bowl, it was a little bit hard, but I was wondering how things are now.
Yeah, great questions. On the hotel one, I think the capacity of the hotels, we have talked to a few of them, particularly the Marriott, obviously right in the RenCen and the Courtyard right across the street, and they are ecstatic because, as you can imagine, a hotel business and what they've gone through over the last 2 years have really had a tough go, right? So they're ecstatic. I believe we have enough hotels. I think unfortunately, it's been a long time since there's 1,500 rooms in that Marriott in the Renaissance Center. That's a big hotel. So it's been a long time since that's been full, and we'd love to fill it up. I hope we can. So no, I think we're okay on the rooms. On the traffic, the lodge, that Jefferson run will be open until Thursday evening of race week. So if you're coming through there on Friday, let's say, and you're coming south on the lodge, you would probably get off just like you used to when there was an auto show downtown. And I think they funneled everyone off onto Larned, or drawing a blank on the name of the other street that is the exit off of Lodge. What's that?
Griswold, I believe Griswold.
Is it Griswold? Yeah, I'm not
Mhm.
sure. But anyway, so you can get off the lodge and get to downtown that way. If you're trying to get over to like the new Meyer, which I haven't had a chance to get in yet, I'm looking forward.
Oh, it's,
to it. Yeah, you can come down 375, Larned, Lafayette. Any of those are open there. And actually, at the corner of Jefferson and Rivard, that area is so wide that we're going to be able to keep a lane of traffic open there. So if you're coming south on Rivard to Jefferson, you're going to be able to turn left there even during the event. So to go eastbound on Jefferson toward that Meyer there. So I think there should be plenty of options. And again, that was one of our main concerns, that we wanted to reduce the size of the track and keep it no further north than Jefferson.
That's great. Michael, can you just explain to everybody Letty's role as to what I know we've used her name here and we've talked about her, just so everybody knows in case they're contacted by her.
Yeah, Letty has been, so as some of you may know, Penske Corporation contributed to the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. And when we met with Mayor Duggan about the Strategic Neighborhood Fund and decided to commit, it's a $1 million a year for 5 years. So it's a $5 million commitment. And we were partnered up with the Jefferson Chalmers neighborhood, which is in District 4. And at the time, Letty was the Department of Neighborhoods representative for District 4. So we got to know Letty really well and really enjoyed working with her. So that's kind of the first part of the story. Then COVID hits. And as you can imagine, as we're trying to plan on what we're doing in 2020, whether we're going to have an event, whether we can have an event, we're talking to all of the other events and all of the other sports teams in town. If the Tigers, what are you guys doing? How are you guys managing this? The golf tournament, Rocket Mortgage Golf Tournament, how are you handling this? What are you doing? So we're trying to gather as much information as we can. And it's me and Bud doing this, right? And so every one of those companies that I just mentioned had a government affairs person that knew what was going on up in Lansing, that could very easily tell us, here's where the COVID regulations are in the state right now. Because if you weren't really in the know, it was very confusing there for a lot of time. Anyway, they always would say at the end of the call, well, just let me know who your government affairs person is, and I'll talk to him. Well, it was me and Bud. We didn't have anybody, So anyway, so fast forward to this idea and moving the event downtown. It didn't take much convincing to figure out that we really needed somebody to help us navigate the districts in the city and the reach out into the community, to understand and know who the city council members were, who their staff were, and right on down the line. And so that's kind of where we kind of thought that Letty would be able to really help us out. So we hired Letty as our first and only in the history of Penske Corporation government and community affairs vice president. And she really hit the ground running. As some of you have mentioned on the call tonight, you've already talked to her. She's continuing to reach out and very accessible and very good. And so we want to have Letty be the conduit for us to really start to make a broader impact in the city, a positive impact in the city. We're moving the race, hopefully, to downtown, but we want it to be representative of the entire city. And it's a big city geographically. And we just want to make sure that all of the districts and all of the neighborhoods feel like they can be a part of it. And we really feel like, transportation is a little easier to get to downtown with the way we're kind of planning to do this with the free access We just want to get as many people and as many residents downtown to be proud of this as an event, proud of the city. And so that's where Letty really comes in the long run. The short run, she's really helping us navigate and get this proposal in front of the community and in front of the city. The long term, I really want her to engage day in, day out with the communities, get us involved in the communities and the neighborhoods.
And Letty's last name, Michael?
It's Letty Azar.
Azar. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. I want to go last call for questions, comments from anybody from the group. This has been most informative. The one request I have, though, is we'll assume that everything goes forward and the approval is provided by City Council. I'd love to have one of those turns on Atwater there up Rivard called the Rivertown Bend, maybe on the map. Maybe we can put ourselves on the map with you guys. So I'm putting my request in right now that either of those two can be the Rivertown Bend. So
I like that. I like that.
Well, it's my marketing hat. I will tell you that we are thrilled, and I will say, what's that?
Oh,
I will say this, having been to Belle Isle and almost every year, and I remember the race from downtown, I think coming back downtown is like a breath of fresh air in the racing world. And those people who love racing and enjoy the race for the day and the thrill of the event, I think this is almost a fresh look at what we've been doing with racing in Detroit. On top of that, the conversation, Michael, you and I had is that when ABC zeroes in, they're zeroing in on the city of Detroit, the great city of Detroit. And nothing, Belle Isle is beautiful, but when you see the city and the way it looks and all the changes that have occurred and how far we've come since back in the 80s, I mean, it is a new city to show off, and I think this is a jewel to be able to do it. So we are thrilled. And I just want to thank Merrill. I know Letty could not be with us tonight. Rena, who is here, and the whole crew from the Grand Prix for taking time and explaining this. I have a much better understanding now. We are here for you anytime. So if you'd like to come back, give us an update, that would be fantastic. And for the group, I just want to let everybody know that our next Rivertown Zoom meeting is going to be with the Chief Public Health Officer, Denise Fair. I've asked Denise to come back and give us an update on the 18th of November on the vaccinations in the city of Detroit, the boosters, and kind of an update from the city. I think everybody realizes the city is below average in those vaccinations. And I reached out to her to say, what can we do, whether it's education, help, or whatever, to try to educate and tell people about COVID-19 vaccinations, et cetera. So it is Thursday, November the 18th. It will be at 5 o'clock, and you'll see my notice come out.